The disease that we are discussing in terms of disrupting homeostasis in the reproductive and endocrine system is polycystic ovary syndrome. This syndrome is the presence of cysts in the ovaries, disrupting the overall function of the female reproductive system and its role in maintaining the body's homeostasis. In many cases, women do not produce enough hormones to ovulate, which leads to the growth of these cysts in the ovaries. These cysts are fluid-filled sacs within the female reproductive system that produce and release androgens. Androgens are male sex hormones found in both males and females, but females usually only have low levels of these hormones within their body. The imbalance of these hormones can cause several disruptions to the body, including a big change in the menstrual cycle, a further imbalance of other hormones, and many more symptoms. The most common symptoms of these are irregular periods, excessive hair growth, weight gain, and in severe cases, infertility.
Polycystic ovary syndrome, also known as PCOS, involves two major organ systems, the reproductive and the endocrine system. The reproductive system involves gonads, which in women are the ovaries, and the associated organs are the uterine tubes, uterus, vagina, and mammary glands. The overall function of this system is to produce gametes that unite with male sex hormones to form an organism. The gonads involve releasing the hormones that regulate reproduction. The associated organs transport and store the gametes. The endocrine system involves all hormone-producing glands, including the pineal gland, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thymus, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal glands, pancreas, ovaries, etc. The overall function of the endocrine system is to regulate body activities by releasing hormones. The ovaries are the main reproductive organ involved in PCOS because they cause hormonal imbalances within the body. The ovaries are involved because the cysts that some women exhibit grow on the ovaries, which can lead to them not producing an egg or not releasing an egg during ovulation. There are many hormones in the endocrine system involved in this disease, such as androgens, for example, testosterone, which are a male sex hormone that most women don't have high levels of, and follicle-stimulating hormone. This disease is thought to be caused by abnormalities in the communication between the brain, the pituitary gland, and the ovaries, leading to androgen overproduction, and the symptoms that many women develop. It is also thought to be caused by high levels of male hormones, which I included, and insulin resistance.
Now moving to the homeostatic side of polycystic ovarian syndrome. As covered earlier, the endocrine system plays a massive role in reproductive health through secretion of different hormones. These hormonal aspects involve overall growth and development, reproduction, and even their emotions. Factors such as stress, infection, and fluid and mineral imbalance can also interfere with the homeostatic stability, and many of these imbalances are very closely involved with polycystic ovarian syndrome. The Pro Women's Healthcare Center notes that an increased insulin is also likely to be the cause of different hormone disturbances surrounding PCOS. Insulin is, as noted, in a hormone that is produced by the pancreas that regulates how much glucose is being shipped to the bloodstream, and it also aids in metabolizing macromolecules such as fats, carbs, and proteins. This research explains that the escalation of insulin results in the upward shift in testosterone, leading to a decline of sex-binding hormone globulin, also known as SBHG. SBHG is in charge of delivering sex hormones to the bloodstream. So a downward shift in SBHG can also result in increased luteinizing hormone, which plays a key factor in the women's ovulation cycle. In terms of getting back to homeostasis, contemporary OBGYN notes that women with PCOS often find that their insulin and testosterone levels are high, but their estrogen levels seem to be within the normal range. It's explained that the homeostatic control helps by gathering an abundance of estrogen in order to react with progesterone to regulate one's menstruation cycle. So, this research concludes that one of the main processes performed to return to homeostasis is converting high levels of insulin and testosterone back into estrogen.
When a woman presents with irregular menstrual periods with or without signs of acne, obesity, and/or hirsutism, doctors will consider a workup to evaluate for PCOS. Hirsutism is a condition of unwanted male pattern hair growth. PCOS is also known to increase the risk for another condition called metabolic syndrome. The main features characterizing metabolic syndrome include high blood pressure, insulin resistance, high cholesterol, and obesity.
The exact cause to polycystic syndrome is unknown, but evidence does show that higher levels of male hormones, androgen, are a big cause in polycystic ovarian syndrome. It can prevent the ovaries from releasing an egg, which equals the irregular cycle, which in turn equals the homeostasis imbalance. Another main cause is insulin resistance. The increased insulin levels cause the ovaries to make and release the male hormone. And then low-grade inflammation is another big cause. Low-grade inflammation is defined as the increase in CRP levels. People with PCOS most often have low-grade inflammation. Next is the inheritance of polycystic syndrome. There is no definitive of moms giving PCOS to their daughters or sons, but evidence and new studies do suggest that if your mom has PCOS, you are at a higher risk of developing PCOS. Polyovarian cystic syndrome is a common heritable disorder strongly linked with hyperandrogenism. And then PCOS-like phenotypic traits are transgenerationally inherited in female offsprings of androgen-exposed or anti-Müllerian hormone-exposed dams up to the F3 generation, indicating long-lasting effects of the fetal line. And then, although affected individuals may have a close family member with the condition, it is estimated that 20 to 40% of women with polycystic ovarian syndrome have an affected mother or sister. This increased family risk is likely due to part of a shared genetic factor, but lifestyle influences that are shared by members of the family likely also play a role. Some clinical genetic studies have pointed to an autosomal dominant inheritance, while others showed that it was likely that the syndrome is a complex trait. Like mentioned earlier, the lifestyle choices are really what can cause you to develop PCOS. PCOS is a lot like most metabolic issues. They are aggravated by poor lifestyle choices, such as frequent consumption of fast food and low physical activity. For women, being above a healthy weight worsens the insulin resistance, which we talked about, causing the increase in androgen. Genetic variations likely act in combination with health and lifestyle factors to influence a woman's overall risk of developing PCOS. Increased factors such as obesity, CVD, and type 2 diabetes escalate the severity of the symptoms.
After talking about the lifestyle choices, you can get a good understanding as to how exercise and a healthy diet can be very important whenever it comes to treating PCOS. Recent studies have shown that as little as 5% reduction in weight can help improve regular menstrual function and decrease risk for cardiovascular complications and insulin resistance seen with metabolic syndrome. This can help restore ovulation cycles and improve the regular regularity of their cycles. Combining diet and exercise efforts is more effective than diet alone in managing PCOS and even infertility. Regulating the menstrual cycle is very crucial to treating PCOS as well. Birth control pills contain estrogen and progestin to decrease androgen production and regulate estrogen. When the hormones are regulated, the risk of endometrial cancer is lowered, and this helps control abnormal bleeding, excessive hair growth, and even acne.
Lastly, we will get into the prevalence and comparisons of PCOS in different parts of the world. According to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, polycystic ovarian syndrome is one of the most prevalent causes for female infertility, stating that it affects between 6 to 12% of women and can even extend around 20% in some areas. To compare different parts of the United States, research found by Wendy M. Wolf through Environmental Research and Public Health uncovered studies that portrayed about 48% of women in southern regions were diagnosed with PCOS, and that happened to be the highest in the U.S., 23% in the north central region, and about 19% in the western region, and only about 10% of cases in the northeastern region.